Swing and a drive, left field, get out, oh, get out of here,
and it's just me? Question mark? Yeah, it's just Connor this week. Everybody, welcome back to the Flight Deck Podcast, the number one space for Blue Jays, occasional White Sox, and shithousery. I am one of your typical three hosts, Connor. So what's up? How y'all doing? Couldn't make schedules work this week, but I got you guys. I can't leave you hanging on a single episode. So here we are. And a lot and a little has happened in the Blue Jays world. A lot can happen in the Blue Jays world coming up. We're just going to look at this. We'll start with the small stuff. Former Reds manager, David Bell, welcome to the organization. He's getting brought on as the VP of baseball ops and the assistant GM. So if you remember anything about Ben Sheridan, the former, I believe I want to say he's still the current GM of Pittsburgh. David Bell's basically taking Ben Sheridan's role from all those years ago, essentially helping with the player development side, which I'm not going to hate. That man's a former MLB manager with Cincinnati Reds. He just got fired this year, which was also weird. He got fired a couple games before the season ended, which I guess we just have to, it is what it is, but that's Cincinnati being Cincinnati. Weird asses. So yeah, we can welcome him in. That's some positive news, I guess, depending on how you want to look at news in general. Then we can say, according to John Heyman, the Jays are very much in the Soto sweepstakes, maybe even ahead of the Yankees? Question mark? Because that was a funny thing. But let's be honest here. The Jays get Juan Soto. What the fuck? How? I'm going to be just as shocked as you guys are if we actually get Juan Soto. Because let's be honest, we might probably not get Juan Soto. We're just gonna call a spade here, folks. By all reports, old Stevie Moneybags is willing to offer $50 million more than the next highest bidder for Juan Soto. And I'm more than likely inclined to believe what Steve Cohen is saying, because you kind of get a figure that the Mets are looking for their guy, even though Francisco Lindor kind of a thing. But I wouldn't be shocked if Steve Cohen says, "Hey, the highest offer is $625. Here's $675 for 15 years or whatever the years may work out to be." It's just the Blue Jays they got other priorities. First off, they need to sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think we're all in agreement on that. Vladdy is the keyest of key pieces in this entire organization, and if you don't have him locked up long term, Soto is going to be a lot harder to convince to get here. But they may be playing the game of, hey, you get Juan Soto, and then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a little bit easier to work with. But let's be honest here. By all accounts, Vladdy has all of the leverage in this situation, given that he is 1 year away from free agency. Team isn't that great, and the Jays kind of need to force a move here to figure it out and figure it out fast. With him and Bo Bichette to a certain extent, because you definitely want some lockups and eventual potential there with Bo. But yeah. And then another article that came out via Ken Rosenthal that was it's very interesting to think about, like, because it's one thing you'd think the Jays don't need is starting pitching, or like high-end starting pitching, but it turns out that Ross Atkins is looking at high-end pitching, because according to Rosenthal, he says it is possible Snell met or will meet with the Baltimore Orioles, Blue Jays, and other clubs seeking a top-end starter, which I guess we're seeking a top-end starter because the Jays were already connected to Max Fried, as we discussed briefly last week. And the Jays also have had conversations with Corbin Burns as well. So a rotation of Corbin Burns, Kevin Gausman, Bowden Francis, Chris Bassett, and Jose Barrios. I'll take it. I'm not going to be mad at it for sure. But again, I don't think the Jays need to get a high-end starter. Or if you do, you're trading a Bassett, you're trading a Gausman. Like, it just doesn't. The Jays are doing a lot of stuff they're doing a lot and they're doing it like I said at the beginning of the podcast, or 5 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago. They're doing a lot and they're doing a little. Like it's very, very weird in where they are as an organization and what they're trying to do. High end, top end payroll, bottom end production. Because Jesus. Uh, but man, that's another thing. And then a lot of this stuff today is going to be around the league stuff. So yeah, we'll get the last thing here. The non-tender deadline is tomorrow. And according to an article by Rob Longley, we could be seeing potentially the exit of a phenomenal story. Jordan Romano is being heavily considered to be non-tendered by the Blue Jays. He's projected to make 7.75 million this year. He's already 31, 32 years old. He's coming off of elbow surgery, like an elbow injury. I don't know if he had surgery. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It's just, it would be, it's a lot of things. Like Romano, this will definitely show you I think what the Jays think of his elbow for sure, like and how bad it is at that point, and if he can maybe ever get back to what he was, because we didn't see him much during the year, and when we did, it was okay, which you could say about a lot of the Blue Jays players. Let's be honest with ourselves here, folks. But it's never been Jordan. A lot of people say that Jordan Romano wasn't clutch, and Brant always likes to bring up the if anything, Jordan Romano is the reverse of not clutch. He's only clutch because like Brant likes to bring up all the time. Jordan Romano's numbers in non-save situations are terrifying. They're very bad, terrifyingly bad, even. And in save situations, he's I want to say in the top five in saves since the 2021 season. Like only trailing guys like Emmanuel Clase, Josh Hader. Like he's been one of the more consistent guys in the league. Like the Jays fans, obviously I'm not gonna just say the Jays fans are not a monolith when I say this, but we don't like a lot of them don't want we as a group don't watch a lot of other baseball because we think Jordan Romano is garbage. Teams would have killed to have the Jordan Romano that we've had over the last, I'd say 2021, 2022, and 2023. Because 2024, I don't think you want anything to do with any of the Blue Jays not named Vladimir Guerrero Jr., or Dalton Varsho, I guess, because he's won a Gold Glove. Congrats to Dalton always. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting tomorrow because there's a couple guys that could get non-tendered. There's rumors like an option is like Dylan Tate on like the low end because we brought in Dylan Tate late last year and he's owed like $1.5 million. I've seen potential of Eric Swanson being non-tendered, which I don't think is going to happen. But then there's also the question of trying to save money, and then you have a $10.5 million pitcher in Chad Green sitting there, and it's just like, what are we doing? If is Chad Green the luxury piece at this point for $10.5 million? And this also like, is that what Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro want? And we also had to think, say you do get rid of Jordan Romano, this bullpen is already bad to begin with. And if you take out the potentiality of a good Jordan Romano, you're left with Chad Green, I can't even, Brandon Little, Eric Swanson, Zach Pop, Ryan Burr, Hagen Danner, which I don't think, in a perfect world, I don't think 5 of the guys I just named are in your opening day bullpen. And they all might be if the Jays do nothing. I don't think they're going to obviously do nothing. But at the same time, they're not obviously going to bring in it. They're not going to be able to bring in Carlos Estevez, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates. They're not going to be able to just overhaul the bullpen with everything, and they're going to need guys to step up. And it's just a matter of what happens with them at that point. Man. Yeah, and if Jordan Romano goes, are we going to get the Chad Green light show? Is that what we're getting next year? And not Tsunami? Man, Jordan Romano's been at the center of pretty cool moments these last few years. Obviously, the big one is the first game home with the Santiago Espinal bare hand He was the closer for that one. He was also the closer for the one of the best comebacks I've witnessed live against the Red Sox in 2021, the same homestand where they first came home. But man, it's just it'll be sad to see him go if he does go. But at the same time, he could come back on a cheaper deal. But you never know. And so yeah, that's kind of all the Blue Jays stuff. Well, a small piece of Blue Jays news I before I head off of that. The deadline for the Rule 5 eligible draft, so 40-man changes. A lot of teams were putting top prospects on their 40-mans, like the White Sox did with Colson Montgomery. I can't remember if anybody can't remember others, but obviously Colson Montgomery, top White Sox prospect, he's going to be on their 40-man, which makes sense. He has to. The Jays did not make any changes to the 40-man, which is a little interesting because their like third string catcher at this point was Phil Clark, and he was not protected in the Rule 5 draft. So, barring some stroke of luck, the Jays are going to have two catchers on the 40-man, if I'm not mistaken. So, and it's Alejandro Kirk and Tyler Heineman. So, yay to that. Woo. But, man, yeah, the Jays seem to think that their catching situation is fine. And I don't think it's fine. There has been a picture of Alejandro Kirk that went out a while back. Excuse me. That he was looking slimmer, and they clearly said to him, "Hey, you're catching like 110 games this year if you're healthy. So get slim, get trim. You're gonna be back there a lot. You're gonna be calling a lot of games. You're gonna be swinging the bat a lot. So yeah, damn it. The, the Jays just give me a headache some days, and by some I mean all. Because man, uh, what will they do? It it's just never gonna be the Jays are just gonna give you a headache. I'm running out of words here to just say about the Blue Jays. Just please just do something. Just, if you don't get a Juan Soto, and Jeff Passan did say it best, it's either going to be the best offseason for the Jays or the worst, because for Jays fans anyway, because Jeff Passan says we're going to get someone big. If that Soto, we don't know, but let's hope it's someone big, and it's not just Max Kepler and Yohan Moncada. I would love Yohan Moncada, but I don't. If Yohan Moncada is a starting for third baseman in 2024, some miracles, some bad shit and some miracle shit would have to happen for him. But yeah, that was everything in Jays land anyway. We'll just quickly go over some things here. There was a lot of people that the qualifying offer deadline came and went, and as far as I'm aware, there was only one player that accepted his qualifying offer, and it's the one player that everybody was shocked that he got the qualifying offer, which was Nick Martinez with the Reds. He got the 21.05, which was the qualifying offer for everybody. And that very surprising, just given that he was pretty good for them last year, but $21 million. I don't know if it was smart for the Reds to do that. He did go 10-7 in 42 games. He did have go 10-7 with 3-1 in 142 innings, whip of 1.03. That's pretty good numbers. But let's be honest here. Nick Martinez is getting Nick Martinez making $21 million next year. No, good on Nick Martinez. This isn't me goofing on Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez was smart to take that. It's just a matter of why Reds? You made some questionable decisions. Obviously, like I said earlier, you fired David Bell with like a series to go in the season, which I'm gonna throw my hands up on that one. Like, are you that? And then you Nick Martinez is the guy that you're going to qualifying offer. You probably could have got him back for half, maybe a third, like a three quarters. Could have got him at 15 or 12, like even. And yeah, but good for Nick Martinez. The Reds continue to do weird Reds things, but you know what? I hope they do good because I want Elly De La Cruz to be successful. Next up, we got The Chicago White Sox making big moves. They got their top target. Yeah, the worst team in baseball history got their top target. I'm loving it, Chris Getz. Austin Slater was your top target. Austin Slater, formerly a Giant, was traded to the Orioles last year at the deadline. He was is okay. He hits the crap out of lefties, so that's I guess what they're hoping he does there. But calling Austin Slater your top target is you're the White Sox. Clearly, it's just objectively hilarious that that's the top target that they have. Like, man, man. White Sox people, I don't know if you listen to this pod, stay strong. You could be looking at a very terrible decade. Terrible decade, maybe decade plus, because you got let's just take a look at the landscape of the AL Central, which is the thing I never thought I'd say. You have the Twins who are like perpetually just mid, so you have to always think about that. On the years that they're pretty good, they make the playoffs. So you got the Tigers who are young and they're coming. They were in the playoffs last year. They won a round with one starter. Imagine if they get a couple more. What can they do? Another year of development of Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green. If Kerry Carpenter could hit a lefty to save his life, he would be an MVP. And I'm saying this with a straight face because man, that man has like a 400 OPS this year against last year against lefties and like a 970 against righties. Just be like a low. I'm just gonna be asking a lot. Just be a low sevens. Just be a high sixes even, Gary, and you're gonna be an all star at that point. But yeah, the Tigers, very good team, and they're growing. Another good team. I was gonna the Cleveland Guardians, the youngest team in baseball, youngest average age. They still have Jose Ramirez. They may lose. They're probably maybe lose Shane Bieber, probably, but you still have Naylor, you still have Jimenez, you still have a bunch. You have still have a couple good pieces to trade. Like they're gonna be good, and they just find a way. We'll get into Cleveland a little bit later, also. And then the Kansas City Royals again made the playoffs. Bobby Witt Jr., young as hell. Uh, they're clearly building something there, and it's good to see there. So they're not going to be bad, barring any like unforeseen health circumstances or anything like that. So Chicago's looking down the barrel of a long time. Will Venable, Godspeed, Godspeed, Mr. Venable, to you. And lastly, just a quick one: Jacob Stallings stayed in Colorado. A lot of people thought he could move somewhere like a Tampa, you know. But I get Jacob Stallings gets 1 year, 2.5. He stays. He liked it clearly. So yeah. Next up, we got a couple of trades to talk about, which is like interesting to me. A couple of them. Jose Siri goes. Yeah, Mr. Jose Siri. We love to hate him. Goes from the Tampa Bay Rays to the New York Mets. So maybe they're getting Jose Siri, tremendous defensive outfielder. The fact that he wasn't nominated for a Gold Glove, it's a little surprising, but gets the Gold Gloves. We take them with a grain of salt, even unless our team wins it. So, but yeah, Jose Siri goes to the Mets, and he's probably going to be playing center field because if they get a certain right fielder, they would love to have a tremendously all-world center fielder next to a terrible defensive right fielder. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, shuffle, shuffle. Yeah, it's a good move for the Mets. And we'll see how that affects their free agency, which it probably shouldn't because it's Stevie Cohen. And then the next thing we got is Eli Morgan to the Chicago Cubs. It's a little weird move, but it's yeah, Eli Morgan was a pretty solid middle reliever for the Guardians last year, who had a crazy bullpen, as we all know and probably heard about in the playoffs, except Emmanuel Clase. But you'll get into that. The Guardians got back Alfonsine Rosario. He's a high A outfielder, and by all accounts, I've heard he's actually pretty good. He's like 6'1", good power speed combo. So good for the Guardians. Getting younger. White Sox, fear them. And fear them very much so, very long. And now we get into the meat and potatoes of it all. Awards have been getting announced the past couple of days. culminating with the MVPs today, just a couple hours before recording. First off, we're going to shout out Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens took home NL Rookie of the Year. A lot of people, myself included, kind of thought Jackson Merrill had a pretty good shot of winning, but you obviously take it out in the macro and the macro vision. Paul Skeens was the all-star starter. He literally has a 1.9. He's an under 2 ERA in his first season in the big leagues. Like, he's an ace. Like, he's we'll get into he was a Cy Young finalist in his rookie season. So yeah, despite Jackson Merrill being one of the better players on a very good playoff team, yeah, it's a shame for him. But the top four, I have the top four for this one. Paul Skeens, Jackson Merrill, Jackson Chorio, shout out to him. And then Mike Imanaga III finishes fourth with literally 4 points because he had 4 third place votes. So shout out to him. Paul Skeens gonna probably be just as good as he was last year. And since we're talking about Paul Skeens, I'll just bring this up here. The Pittsburgh Pirates are doing the Paul Skeens sweepstakes because Topps just revealed the 1-of-1 Skeens patch, like the rookie debut patch that all the players wear during their debut, obviously, and they get put into a Topps card. So that card got released on the 13th, and if the Pirates have offered to the person who gets this 1-of-1 Paul Skeens rookie patch card, they will give them 2 Pirate season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years. Not 3, not 13, 30. Multiple generations. A softball game for 30 at PNC Park plus coaching from Pirates alum. Like, okay. And we're not even close to being done here. A spring training experience like no other. Private tour of Pirate City and Lecom Stadium. Meet and greet with Paul Skeens and potentially Livy Dunn. 2 Paul Skeens autographed jerseys. Take batting practice and warm up with the team. And other unique experiences at Pirate City and Lecom Park. And also, shout out to Paul Skeens' girlfriend, Livy Dunn, who also said, if you find the thing, if you find the card, you get to hang out with her in the suite for a game. So, to whoever is lucky enough to find that Paul Skeens card, you potentially 30 years worth of Pirates stuff. That's pretty cool, regardless of how good they are or anything. Also, just want to shout out Andrew McCutchen, one of my favorite players of all time, Pittsburgh Pirates legend, Uncle Larry, love him. But yeah, I'm back on track here. Paul Skeens, rookie of the year, shout him out. And we go to the AL, which I think is a little bit more controversy. I'm not going to say it's anything too crazy, but New York Yankees starting pitcher Luis Gil wins rookie of the year in a very close contested rookie of the year race. Luis Gil had 15 points. He had 15 first place votes. He had 106 points total with all the votes. Finishing second was Colton Cowser of the Baltimore Orioles, who I thought was going to win personally. He had 101 total points, so 5 points separated Gil and Cowser. Third place was Austin Wells, which I guess. Mason Miller finished fourth with 16 points. Cade Smith of the Guardians, oh my God, he was phenomenal even going into the playoffs. He was their best reliever in the playoffs, without a doubt. Finished fifth with 12 points. Wilyer Abreu, right field Gold Glove winner, finished sixth, and Wyatt Langford finished seventh. Now, I'm bringing the Yankee hate here. Colton Cowser should have won. Wyatt Langford should have been top 5. Austin Wells did not deserve to be top 5. Austin Wells didn't even deserve to be top 3. Let's be honest here. Yankee bias is real. Well, even in saying that, he's 17 points. I'm player hating real. I'm player hating hard here. But something that I did find very interesting was both Luis Gil and Paul Skeens, obviously starting pitchers. The last time that there was 2 starting pitchers to win Rookie of the Year in both the National League and American League, you got to go back all the way to 1981. 1981. Now, if you're wondering, that's a year of significance for at least One very sad story that we did lose a little bit ago. You got a 1981 AL Rookie of the Year, New York Yankees pitcher Dave Righetti. So shout out to Dave. And 1981, the NL Rookie of the Year, RIP Fernando Valenzuela. But yes, 1981 and 2024 are the last two times that rookie starting pitchers have won both AL and NL Rookie of the Year, which I will say, pretty cool. And it's so interesting to go back and looking at some of these Rookie of the Years. Like obviously, if we're gonna look very recently, 2020 Kyle Lewis, that one just hurts because Kyle Lewis was awesome player in 2020. He's a lot of injuries and it derailed him. Then we go back a little bit. Obviously, we get Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Jordan Alvarez, Carlos Correa, Jose Abreu, Will Myers, Mike Trout, Jeremy Hellickson. It's great. Like some of these names just bring back memories. Bobby Crosby was the Rookie of the Year in 2004. Jason Bay was Rookie of the Year in 2004 as well. Jason Jennings, that's a name. Eric Hinsky in Toronto, the last Toronto Blue Jay to win Rookie of the Year, which I don't know what that says more about. No, that says more about the Jays' abilities. I'm lying to myself here. But yeah. Shout out to both those Rookie of the Years. Luis Heel, especially. I hate him so much. Did I delete something quick? Yes, I did. I'm goofy. All right. Back on the track here. Going to Manager of the Year. MLB was obviously slow cooking these. Shout out, bringing them up. Cleveland Guardians. Stephen Vogt won AL Manager of the Year for the Cleveland Guardians, and he actually edged out Matt Quatraro of the Kansas City Royals and AJ Hinch of the Detroit Tigers. I'm not mad at it. Honestly, you could have given it to any three of those guys because Stephen Vogt, first year as a manager, gave the Guardians one of their best seasons in a very long time. Matt Quatraro, manager that turned around a Kansas City team that won like 50 games last year and they made the playoffs. And then AJ Hinch, the magical run that the Tigers went on in the back half. Fourth place was Joe Espada. And then tied for fifth was Aaron Boone and Mark Kotsay. Shout out to whoever voted for Mark Kotsay. And then Rocco Baldelli and Alex Cora rounded out the top 7 or 8 if my math is mathing. But yeah, shout out to them always. And then we go to the NL where Pat Murphy brought home the NL Manager of the Year for the Milwaukee Brewers. He finished with 27 of the 30 first place votes. Second place was Mike Shildt of the Padres. And third place was Carlos Mendoza of the Mets. Now, I'm not mad at Pat Murphy winning that at all. Pat Murphy very much deserved the award. Mike Shildt honestly had a shout for it. And then in fourth place, we had Torey Lovello of the Diamondbacks. Fifth place was Rob Thompson of the Phillies. Someone gave him a first place vote, and that's the only vote he got, evidently. Brian Snitker finished behind him with 4 third place votes. Dave Roberts, the World Series winning manager, Dave Roberts, finished in 7th place. And then hold up, I didn't read this. Ollie Marmol got a vote. What Kansas City beat writer? What St. Louis beat writer gave Ollie Marmol a vote? I'm looking at you. Who gave that man a vote? What are we doing as a unit? Come on, guys. But yeah. Shout out to Pat Murphy. Now we go to the big awards. Starting the National League Cy Young. Shout out also the NL Comeback Player of the Year, Chris Sale of the Atlanta Braves, receiving 26 of a possible 30 first place votes. The other 4 first place votes went to Zach Wheeler. And Paul Skeens, like we just mentioned, finished third place in Cy Young. That man was going to win Rookie of the Year, which in hindsight was a no-brainer. But yeah, Chris Sale, NL Comeback Player of the Year, gets traded his first season in Atlanta, gets traded away from Boston. Haha, Boston fans. I'm looking at one in particular. Ha 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 ha. Wink wink nudge nudge. You know who you are. I don't think you're ever going to hear this, but I'm still laughing at you. But yeah, Chris Sale also revealed today on Foul Territory that if he didn't get before he got traded, he was contemplating and probably was going to retire as a Boston Red Sox after the 2024 season. And that's think about that. He went from potentially thinking about retiring to getting traded to a playoff team and being the best pitcher in that league and winning the Cy Young. That's like congratulations to Chris Sale. Like crazy career, injury filled career, which kind of sucks. White Sox fans are also just getting with the White Sox, man. This one they're not going to have because Chris Sale. The deal at obviously the deal at the time was good. It was Yoel Moncada and Michael Kopech who were the top two prospects in the Red Sox organization at the time. So that's nothing crazy. Then I'll just quickly run down some of the rest of these. Dylan in going from fourth all the way down. Dylan Cease had a great first year at San Diego. Shota Imanaga, Logan Webb, Michael King, also on the Padres, got traded in for Juan Soto in that deal. Hunter Green, Ryan Helsley, actually, he was the top reliever in that. Christopher Sanchez of the Phillies, Reynaldo Lopez. That one is funnier for White Sox fans because haha. Sean Manaea of the Mets, and then Aaron Nola of the Phillies round out the NL Cy Young voting. And then in the most no-brainer, we had the American League Cy Young. The American League Cy Young was the first of three unanimous awards given out this week. Tarek Skubal. What could you say? He won the pitching. He won the AL Triple Crown for pitching, wins, strikeouts, and innings. Like he was the dirtiest pitcher in baseball. He was the dirtiest. He was. If there was a, obviously we have AL and NL. If there was a, all right, here's your AL and NL. Now vote for your MLB Cy Young. It would go to Tarek Skubal. And I don't think people would blink twice at the fact that it would go to Tarek Skubal. But yeah, I have the top five for this one as well. Seth Lugo, look at him. Clap it up for young Seth Lugo, finishing in a second place. He had 14 second place votes, so good for him. In his first season in Kansas City. Again, Kansas City's coming. Third place, and was a finalist, Emmanuel Clase. Obviously, despite his playoff struggles, he was the best reliever in baseball, and it wasn't particularly close, in my opinion. Yeah, he had a point. He gave up five runs all season, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He gave up one home run, maybe. But yeah, his playoffs, tarnished some of what the amazingness he did this year. We'll get into someone else that did that shit. Ha 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 ha. But fourth place, another Kansas City Royal, which is something I never thought I'd say. Kansas City having two pitchers within the top five of Cy Young voting. Cole Reagans. If you remember Cole Reagans, he was part of the Aroldis Chapman package in 2023. So good for him. And then potential former Blue Jay, Corbin Burns, finishes fifth place in Cy Young in his first and potentially last season in Baltimore. I think it is his last season. Let's be honest with ourselves here. It's the Orioles, and I don't care if they have a new ownership. They're not gonna pay for that guy. And then, ladies and gentlemen, in some news that I hate, Aaron Judge has won American League MVP and was unanimous. Whoa. Yay. Yeah, he wins unanimous AL MVP. And yeah, we're just not gonna talk about it. He sucked in the playoffs, right, guys? Yep. But he sucked. He sucked in the playoffs. I want to hear it. Bobby Witt Jr. finished second, unanimous second place for Bobby Witt Jr. Which is funny. But he deserved it. Bobby Witt was one of the best players in baseball, clearly. Potentially future Blue Jay Juan Soto finished third with 21 third place votes. Gunnar Henderson finishes fourth, and then Jose Ramirez getting a top five. And if I'm remembering my balloting correctly, and when I read it earlier, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. finishes sixth in MVP voting this year. So a glimmer of hope in a very dark, dark sky. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sixth place in American League MVP. And oh my God, he started so bad. So bad. Imagine if he was okay the first month and a half, as opposed to just whatever he was. But yeah, congratulations to Aaron Judge. I don't like you, but I don't hate you. So you're just kind of there. I don't want you to do good things. So we'll go from there. And then, ladies and gentlemen, In another no-brainer, Shohei Ohtani wins the NL MVP. He joins a very exclusive list of Jackie Robinson, and I cannot remember the other name off the top of my head, to win an MVP in both the American League and the National League. Shohei Ohtani is the first DH to ever win the NL MVP, obviously, because the DH was brought in just a few years ago. But yeah, obviously 50-50. He was gonna be MVP. Showed up in the playoffs. Showed up in the playoffs up until the World Series. People don't like to. People we didn't bring that much up that much during the playoffs because, or the World Series anyway, because the Dodgers were just killing the Yankees. So yeah, Francisco Lindor, what a season for him. Finishes a respectable second. But yeah, and then a third place finish for Ketel Marte. Didn't expect that. He had a very good season. Definitely he got injured during the year, so it definitely didn't help his case for an MVP. Ozuna from the Braves finishes fourth in MVP voting, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say again or ever. William Contreras finishes fifth. Bryce Harper finishes sixth. Chris Sale finishing seventh as the Cy Young. So good on him. Ellie De La Cruz finishes eighth because he had a 2060 season. He had the quietest 67 stolen base season I've ever seen. And then Jackson Merrill finishing behind him as well. And we have just quickly Willie Adames, Matt Chapman. Someone gave Matt Chapman a third place MVP vote. Giants writer. I see you. Zach Wheeler, Mookie Betts, Jurickson Profar, Kyle Schwarber, Manny Machado, Luis Rise, Freddie Freeman, Paul Skeens. Teoscar Hernandez got an eighth place vote for MVP, so good for him. Ezekiel Tovar was getting votes. Yeah, he got a ninth place and a 10th place vote. Shout out Rockies writers. Jackson Chorio and then Dylan Cease round out the MVP votings on that. And yeah, I should have maybe started with this, but next up, the 2025 Hall of Fame ballot is out. And we're featuring, it's kind of weird that the name of the first timers have I watched all of these players and it's very weird. Like I watched a majority of these players like for a very good bit of their career. In some cases, all of it. So we'll go through the first time eligible people and just quickly. Curtis Granderson, former Blue Jay, Curtis Granderson, Carlos Gonzalez, Felix Hernandez, Adam Jones, Ian Kinsler, Russell Martin, shout out Russ, Brian McCann, Dustin Pedroia, Hanley Ramirez, Fernando Rodney, CC Sabathia, Ichiro Suzuki, former Blue Jay Troy Tulowitzki, and Ben Zobrist round out the first time eligible players. Now, let's be honest with ourselves here. There's potentially three. There's one first ballot, and if he's not first ballot, Hall of Fame committee, what are you doing? And that is Ichiro Suzuki. I don't need to say much. Ichiro is one of, if not one of the best players in baseball history. Like from everything he did in Japan to coming over and winning MVP, if I'm not mistaken, in his first or second season, being in the US. He is the world hit king. Obviously, Pete Rose has more hits in the MLB, but Ichiro Suzuki has the most hits of any professional baseball player ever combined between Japan and plays time in Seattle, Miami, New York. He played on a lot of teams. It was weird. CC Sabathia, I think, is the other Hall of Fame, like no-brainer Hall of Famer to me. I don't think he obviously gets in first ballot, but he'll be in there. CC, his half a season with Milwaukee is one of the greatest half seasons. The most I have that dog in me half season in potentially baseball history. Well, in the modern era of baseball, I'm not going to go hyperbolic because I can't say for sure, but pitching basically on every third day for the entire rest of the season to get your team into the playoffs. And then he went to the Yankees, won a World Series. And also was just a dog. He was the one guy on the Yankees I couldn't hate. And it's like that. And then everybody else on here, as much as I would love to give, like, if there was a Hall of Fame for the sweetest looking swing, Carlos Gonzalez is in, but it's not. So I don't think Carlos Gonzalez gets in. Curtis Granderson, Felix Hernandez is one that I think could potentially get in. Just he might be like a Larry Walker where he gets on like the 8th, 9th, or 10th ballot. But yeah, Yeah, and then there's also obviously just going off the other people that were in there last year, still on the ballot. Billy Wagner, the big story on this one. He fell 5 votes short last year of getting into the Hall of Fame, and this is his 10th and final year on the ballot for the final year of consideration for the Baseball Writers of America. So I very much hope that he gets in. And as always, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are Hall of Famers. Like, come on now. Alex Rodriguez, he's a tough one just based on his resume of steroids and all that stuff. But yeah, hope that the Hall of Fame hope that the Hall of Fame is pretty solid. And then just a couple quick stories here. Roki Sasaki is by all reports most likely to sign after January 15th. So we're gonna wait a while on that. And that is because that is the day that the international draft pool money carries over and resets. So if Roki signed before that, he wouldn't be inclined to make as much money from a certain team. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Might be the Dodgers. Probably will be the Dodgers. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Yeah, and so he's not likely going to sign until January. So it's going to be a while till we hear any real news about Roki Sasaki. I just simply wrote this down as Alex Bregman is a little drunk because in an article Ken Rosenthal put out, he suspects that Alex Bregman and Scott Boras are aiming higher than most projections. You know, most people have Alex Bregman kind of in what I like to call the Marcus Semien contract, 7/175, like there. And Ken Rosenthal brings up he's looking specifically at a deal closer to the 11-year, $350 million that Manny Machado got in February of 2023. Now, Alex Bregman, just let's be honest with ourselves here, folks. Alex, you're not going to get that money, dude. So can't wait to see you sign in like March because Scott Boras is going to Scott Boras it. So that's obviously great for somebody. And then Camden Yards is going to slightly become less trash. They realize their mistake, so they're moving their fences in just a wee bit. Just a little bit. Let me pull up these specifics. The left field fence obviously sucks terrible. So they are dropping the if I'm looking at this correctly, they are making the area that had like the weird cut, like the 90-degree turn. That was 398. They're going to change that to 376. They're bringing that in. And then they're going to bring down the walls a bit. So Camden Yards is going to suck a lot less for right-handed hitters because, man, the Baltimore Orioles said, hey, we don't have pitching, so we're just going to make sure everybody can't hit in our park. And then they said, oh, wait, our hitters can't hit in that park. So, yeah. And then lastly, the Cleveland Guardians got some new unis. They're aiming more with the red instead of the navy blue or the dark blue that they had. All reds jerseys as well. The dark blue jersey that they do have now just has the big C on the chest. So yeah, I do think they are an improvement on what they currently have. It's a subtle but small. It's a subtle change. But yeah, I think that's all I have for today. I'm not gonna do a who he be because it's not really my thing in the segment world. But next time we'll have a who he be. So as always, thank you guys for listening to this. If you made it this far, drop a like, drop a comment, drop a sub, follow us on all our social medias. And we are also now on Blue Sky. We are at the Flight Deck over at Blue Sky. If you want to hop on and join us over there, love that would be appreciated. We're going to start posting all the same stuff that we do. Majority of the other places we're going to post on Blue Sky as well. So just if you want to get off of Twitter or X, I wouldn't blame you at that point. But yeah, as always, links will be in the description for everything. And stay calm and go Blue Jays.